something, 10 rupees, 20 rupees or something, something like that. So how it works, right? Of course, online thing, there are advertisements and there are some other revenues. But in here, when we are talking about the physical manufacturing, there are no such incentives. But here, in this case, what happens is, uh, uh, that company takes the raw data from some other company, obviously. Now, and after that, they make the drug, they make the tablet, and they sell it to some other company. Now, what is happening is, the other company gives the, I mean, to which they are selling, it gives the money immediately. Okay. However, when they are what do you say, taking the raw material, they get a credit of this credit of about 30 days. Okay. So virtually they get they can retain the money for about 25 days. Okay. So 25 days they can use the money, and that is what one of the major earning which probably you have missed, and that is why they are able to do all these things. So see, money management is also about how you earn the interest, how you utilize that money. Probably for that 25 days they are putting in some features like bonds or share market or whatever, and they are getting some decent 10% returns, let us say. Okay. Or hedge funds. So this is how things works. So whenever you see something like, you are buying it at a price which is lower than what you call the expected price, there might be some other ways for a company to achieve this, and that is what you should see. That's why business models would be varying company by company, and product by from one product to another product. And this is where the evaluation comes into picture, how good that model is, whether it is sustainable, can it generate that money for long or not. Okay, so you can see Paytm. Earlier they used to give 100 rupees for 100 rupee transfer. Nowadays they don't give it. Why? Because their its job was to attract the customers. That's all. Okay. Anyway, we are not learning business economics. So let us start with our job. But you will appreciate when today whatever I'm going to talk, you will understand how recycling is another very important part of these business models, especially for the manufacturing, and where especially where the raw material is quite costly, so you cannot waste it. Okay. So let us start. So I think we have seen about monocrystalline, polycrystalline, and whatnot, but still the problem was still persisting, that we have to decrease the what you say material used in the cell itself, or otherwise we have to make the solar cell such a way that you do not have so much of wastage. Fine. So the major problem with the wafers or wafer-based technologies, when we cut, there are too much of curve loss. That is one point. And also I told that we cannot go for large area solar cell. So for example, ingot can be 10 12 inch ingot manufacturing would be too costly, and you can see the thickness. We don't want 800 micrometer thickness, we want 150 micrometer, so we cannot go for such a large ingots. Okay. So you cannot go for a larger area. By the way, that is the problem with the first generation. If you remember my talk about second generation technology, which is the deposition technology, that's why we can go for what 65-inch TVs are available, because they work on thin film technologies. Okay. QLED, OLED. So all these are very thin film technologies. OLED technology would be 100 nanometer or less than that thin film we are talking about. Same thing is applicable for solar cells as well. So you can go for a large 600-watt panels or something for with this thin film, but not with the single generation technology. You have to use the cell and then module. Okay. In thin film second generation, there is nothing like cell and module. There is a module, that's all. There is a single cell, single module. But in first generation, we have to put multiple cells into series and parallel, so that we can achieve a large power, high power model. Okay. Of course, we will come to that a bit later. Let us think of, people were trying to think of out of box solutions. So can we avoid this wafer technology at all? Can we go for, still we can go for a large area things? And then people thought of silicon chips. So uh, people saw that there could be some potential to bring down the cost, because wafer sawing is absolutely avoided. Rather, instead of we are laying the chips, okay. So instead of cutting the thin sheets, sorry, instead of cutting the ingot, they were producing the thin sheets. So there are so many methods which are available. People tried all sort of thing, but the point is that we were growing the sheets, okay. Now you can see that the first two methods are like literally you are growing the film. Okay, literally you are growing the film. However, here the third one, you are making the sheets from the powder. So I told you, when this silicon is I mean wafer is cut down, there is a kerf loss, which is normally would be a powder. So with that powder, people were making the sheets. So let me show you some quick, what you say, review of this. This is age defined film fade growth. So obviously we need molten silicon, which is in pure form. However, we want a long sheet. So it is something like spooling. Okay. So you have got a graphite die with a very small, what you say, entrance or slit, you can say. So that whenever you are pulling this molten silicon through this graphite die, there you will have a very thin film of crystallized silicon. So this die, of course, is used. So there is no cutting directly. The film is going up, and till you can pull a complete film, you can go ahead and you can have a large, what you say, large film. However, the challenges here is the adjustment of the temperature profile, because here it is molten silicon at the bottom, that is what we are pulling, and through this graphite there will be a gradient of the temperature, and ultimately here we have to cool it off. Okay, so if you have learned some metallurgy, you will understand that this temperature related process, okay, sudden cooling or sudden heating, all these damages the structure, microstructure of the material. And during this process there goes different, what you call it as defects. Okay, and also in this case it will be causing the silicon which are crystallizing into the film. It will have large grains. Okay, so a large number of grains. So these all things, I mean, the morphology and crystal structure of the material which we are producing is largely dependent on this transformation, translation in the temperatures. However, it can produce large cylinder kind of material. I'll show you the picture here itself. So you can see here with of course this is in 2D. So when we go for 3D, it is actually made in cylinder shape. So what you can have is a hollow cylinder, and you can see only thin shapes are there. So which we can cut, we can provide fatten, and then we can use it for what you call it as as a film. Okay, so challenges are, it requires a very high purity level, cannot be achieved because of this pulling process. Too many impurities are introduced by the apparatus itself, many defects which are going to create the problems for efficiency during these are induced during the crystallization process. And the defect density, as we have earlier seen as well, that whenever you are making even the ingot, okay, it depends on what is the crystallization speed. There the crystallization was with the we kind of deposited the new silicon atoms on the seed. So something similar is happening over here. So it is again proportional to the speed by which with which I am pulling up the film. So high production rates, if you are to maintain, then we require high crystallization speed, and that is not going to happen. These are vice versa. So these were the challenges, and that's why obviously, it was not too what to say, famous in initial time. If you remember again the graph from our first chapter, that some time the production was increased, but then it proved out that it cannot be sustainable, and really you cannot take down the prices. Rather, better to work on the monocrystalline or polycrystalline only. So again, still 90+% is still dominated today by the mono and poly, not by this ribbon type and whatnot. Other thing is the wastage itself. Now, in solar cell industry, there are various places, various occasions where this what you call wastages will be there, and at every stage we can send back that wastage for purification. Oh, sorry, melting, so that again it can be recycled in a simple sense. Okay. Now the thing is, solar cell industry doesn't requires much purified semiconductor. So obviously we can get that wastage, whatever wastage from the electronic industry itself. See, now you can ask me a question that why electronic industry itself is not using the recycled one, because whenever you are recycling, obviously there will be, new defects will be induced, okay, when you are processing. So it would be better if we send it to the solar cell industry, where you can accept those defects. Now in EGS or electronic industry, 40% is almost the loss during the production of wafer, and these can be now used for polycrystalline. So these can be, we have already seen that when we make ingot, we cut the top and bottom. Then we also cut the when wafers are produced, it may break down. So these all things are coming to the solar cell industry, and this total is 40%. And of course, apart from that, curve losses are there. And quality control may also reject certain pieces. So everywhere is there. So we can do that. We can do that analysis. So let us say we have got production capacity. Then the solid, and so simultaneously I'm giving you both the things that here I'm marking the steps in wafer making, and at every step, whatever is the what you call it as, whatever is the wastage or discarded material, that is what I'm giving. So when you are making this polysilicon, you can have some what you say off-spec silicon, so which is not up to the mark. Okay, that something has gone wrong with the process, where might be doping has not been proper up to the expectation, or some impurity is seen. So these are things are discarded. Okay. Next, when you are ingot pulling, then feedstock from the crystallization, so that can be given. Then the wafer dicing, wafer broken wafers, or the powder, everything can be again given back. And then so all these, and ultimately obviously you get silicon for ICs, but then this at every step, whatever we are getting, it can be used as a feedstock for PV industry. That was for mono. We can go for poly as well. Small chips and dust generated during the crushing process. Then silicon deposited near the graphite electrodes. If you remember our reactors, some silicon would be wastage deposited inside the reactor itself, especially near the electrode. So that has to be scrubbed off. So, but still it is much better compared to the what you call it as compared to the solar grade silicon. Then off-spec we have already discussed. Yeah. Then in FBR, some undersized beds and silicon dust is generated, so that can also be utilized. Then next is the feedstock from the crystallization step. So as I discussed, conical top and bottom from the ingot. Again, ingot parts which doesn't meet the specification. For example, some defects which are coming into either due to improper processing, or carbon or oxygen. If there is any oxidation or something like that, carbon can come from the earlier process itself. Then silicon remaining in the quartz crucible, we cannot completely remove, so it's a scrap. What we do from the as we have done from the reactor. Then next is feedstock from the dicing step. Normally this yield is 90-95%, but as I've said, wafers which are broken or damaged, out of dimensional out of dimensional for the tolerances. Okay, warping or bowing because of the treatment, which are what you can say, due to heat treatments which are warped, so they cannot be used for making the models. Now this whole thing is always monitored for testing the faults. So later, when we discuss the solar cells, actual solar cell fabrication, I'll tell you that how exactly quality control is done. So you can measure certain quantities. Like for example, in wafer making, I can always check what is the resistance of that. Even I can find out where are the defects and how much is the level of the defects. Okay, so there are certain contactless techniques of characterization of either wafers or solar cell. We will have a separate lecture on that. At that time you can understand, but you can have this quality control at every stage, right from your silicon purification to the solar cell, and even at the module level as well. So you test everything, individual cell, and cells are tested individually. Models also are tested individually. Sawdust we have already done. So the point is, when we go for this solar grade silicon, it is what you say. It is bit less what you call say less pure compared to the electronic grade. So I can tell you that solar grade silicon. So understand that monocrystalline is the best one. Then polycrystalline, which has got that grains, but still they are high quality material. But then there is this solar grade, so it is much more impure as compared to even polycrystalline. Polycrystalline, there is no impurity as such, but the grains is decreasing the efficiency. That is the whole problem. Okay. So material grade we can take, and now this process is entirely different than whatever we have seen, till this point. So you take material grade, you don't go for ingot or something like that. You pulverize it so that most of the impurities would be removed with that acid itself. So you can see most of the metallic impurities are removed. Then you go for oxidation so that you can remove this boron and carbon from that. Then you go for vacuum refining with the vapor pressure difference, and then you remove certain other materials like aluminum or phosphorus, oxygen, which is present from the previous steps. And then ultimately the last process would be the solidification. And this process is important, and it is worked on something called as a segregation coefficient. We will see that there is something called as diffusion. Every metal or every atom of an element, it will try to diffuse through the what you call it as through the entire crystal structure of the material. Let us say if there is some impurity, let us say phosphorus. Okay, so phosphorus will try to diffuse. This titanium will also try to diffuse out of it. So what happens whenever you are solidifying this metal grade silicon, depending upon what is the segregation coefficient, these impurities are removed. So the titanium will be removed faster, and I mean all these metal materials, metal has got a lower segregation coefficient, so that's why they would be removed. They will automatically come to the surface. Okay, they will diffuse from the inner side to the what you call it as to the surface, and then when you remove the surfaces, you treat the surfaces, the impurities are gone, and you can use this coefficient so that you improve or you purify by this solidification. Okay, so just by temperature control, you can it's like a sweeping. Okay, you sweep out these impurities which you don't want, and ultimately what you get is a solar grade silicon. So you can see here we are not going for the processes like earlier, but it is on the similar lines. And of course, you do solidify so that after that you go for slicing in the way you want. Now, let me give you some numbers because then you can appreciate what exactly we have done so far. So 1 ppm is about 5 raised to 10 raised, 5 into 10 raised to 22. Let us forget 5. So 10 raised to 10, 22 impurity atoms per centimeter cube. So you can think that what level we are talking about. Now, this is a comparison between MGS, EGS, and the solar grade. So as I've told you, the impurities are added or subtracted depending upon the ultimate application. So one impurity which is damaging for a particular application may not be problematic for the other application. So you can see here in electronic grade, definitely you don't want Al. It should be too less. Okay, so we definitely concentrate on removing Al. But for SOG, it really doesn't matter, and we can even if we control up to 0.7, it is great. So you can check all these metallic impurities over here. Definitely we want them much lower as compared to the SOGs. Uh, so yeah, that's all. So this is the comparison. SOG values are quite higher as compared to the EGS, and but however SOG is still much lower as compared to, you can see, MGH. So here we have, if we have got 99.9 and here we have got 99.9 nines. Okay, so I can write here nines, and here it is 99.95. So this 4-digit difference is what we can compromise with. So that is what reduces the cost. However, it reduces the efficiency as well, and that is what the compromise that what we are talking about. So the importance is SGS. What you say? SGS would be available at much cheaper prices. EGS availability would be much difficult, because to produce that much of EGS in a very high quantity would be difficult. It would be time consuming as well. So that's why whenever the EGS was controlled and there was a problem with the supply chain, people thought of going for thin film technologies or solar grade and whatnot. So this shortage obviously hampered the production, and that's why we went for some other ways. Uh, so already I have shown you in one of the graph that silicon usage has come down in solar cell industry. Apart from that, the cost itself has come down. But still that cost has to go down, because still the complete module is 60% of the power plant cost. Okay, so the processing and the raw material itself is quite costly. So we require some additional sources of silicon, or new methods of looking at silicon, using that silicon, so that the cost would be down. There is another thing as well. The silicon solar cell growth is much higher. So obviously, when you can understand demand supply law, that whenever the demand is supply is increasing, the demand sorry sorry when the demand is increasing and you have got the proper supply, the cost is going to go down. So that is what has happened. Moreover, apart from that 2008 hump, so the point is, if there is more demand, the cost will be lower, because the monopoly will reduce, there will be competitiveness, the margins would get reduced and all that. But then there is some limitation to that. Okay, if the business is not sustainable, nobody will enter, so it may have negative effect. And then there is something called as, see, even if you even if the demand is too high, still if somebody is controlling the supply itself and manufacture the prices, or it can control the prices. So policy also comes into picture. Several taxes and policies are creating problems already, as I've said, especially with our battle with China, right? So now there will be about 50% of the import duty, 20 to 50% on the modules. Okay. So, but see, there is a good side of that as well. I told you that in last before 2-3 months, Indian government imposed duty on Chinese products and like cells and models. So what happened is in semiconductors now at least people have thought that yes, we will have our own fab lab. Fab means fabrication lab. That is what fab lab is the keyword over here. The things are changing, okay, and of course it will take some time. So what is the, let us summarize the various routes of purification. So we start with SiO2, we get metallurgical grade. Then we have two routes. We can go with the purification of chlorosilane, we get EGS. That EGS we can turn into ingot, and after that we can have wire sawing, or we can go for block casting, but ultimately you have to cut it. As far as sheets are concerned, you can use laser cut because you have to cut maybe once or twice only. Laser cutting is not possible with the ingot, at least not that I've heard of. Other thing is if you have chlorosilane gas, you can go for a thin film deposition. So this is a wafer technology. Okay, so wherever we get this ultimately as a wafer, we call it as wafer technology, and when we deposit thin film, we call it as thin film technologies. Other thing is the same chlorosilane gas, you can go for purification, and you can think of a solar grade silicon. That is what the last slide I talked about. But again, this is a wafer technology. Only you use solar grade silicon instead of electronic grade silicon. So depending upon which route you follow, you will get a different kind of silicon type. So you can see when we are going for ingot pulling, you get crystalline silicon. Okay, but in block casting you get polysilicon, and in sheets obviously you get silicon sheets. Thin film depositions are second and third generation solar cell, and obviously here you get HGS type of wafers. Okay, so it is all about playing with the cost. Everything whatever you do or you drop in the whole process is going to incur or decrease the cost of the ultimate product, that is the solar cell. So that's why these things are very sensitive. And not only to the step, even if you have similar steps, let us say two companies are adopting very similar steps, still it would be very sensitive to, let us say, temperature, how you control the profile of doping, how you control the impurities. Okay, so all depends on the temperature, and how it affects the cost. Because say, let us say hypothetically let us say you have got 50-degree, one company is using 50-degree higher temperatures. Okay, now with that, let us say you are driving out more impurities out, so your efficiency will go up. However, this additional 50-degree, it means the energy cost will go up. 50-degree, we are not talking about 0 to 50-degree, we are talking about 1000-degree and then 1050-degree. So that 50-degree additional is a huge energy cost, and that's why these industries are quite energy sensitive. So one has to look for that aspect as well. Whenever I am increasing 10-degree, how much energy budget is going to go up. Okay, so optimization is the core thing in solar cell, and as our what to say subject progresses, you will understand that how many parameters we have to look at so that we can what to say optimize the solar cell production. Okay, uh, let me tell you at this point that solar cell, yeah, solar cell is a PN junction, correct? Have you heard about any other PN junction? Any example of PN junction? How, where you use PN junction?
Diode.
PN junction diode you use? Yeah. Anywhere else you use PN junction?
Transistors.
Yes.
Transistor.
Yes, transistors. How many PN junctions you have in transistor?
Two.
Two. In triac? Sorry, in SCR?
Three.
Hmm? three PN junctions. So the point is that all these are about junctions, right? You take any transistor, you take triac, I mean power electronic devices, you take diode. So moreover, these are same, but of course, these varies in the numbers of PN junction, 1, 2, 3, and so on. However, if you consider diode and solar cell, let me tell you, it's a basics. I mean, the PN junction number is same, 1. Okay, but still, you can see diodes are very small, right? 2 mm or of that thickness. But when you see a solar cell, it's quite large, 4-inch, 6-inch solar cells or something like that. So we have larger area over here. So the difference and what is the another difference in diode and solar cell? Can somebody tell me? Diode, what it does? Does it produces power?
Electrical to
Electrical
light
to
energy.
electrical only. What? Diode?
A photon are just emitting from them.
What?
Or diode. No.
Diode? Which diode we are talking about? I'm not talking about LEDs. I'm talking about simple PN junction diodes. 1N9001, which is used as rectifiers.
which acts as a
Yeah, but they are converting electrical energy into electrical energy, correct? So their input is electrical. If you are talking about LED, yes, they take what you say electrical and they convert into photon. Fine. So of course, LEDs are also diodes. Fine. But how everything is different? Your rectifier diode converts electrical to electrical. LED converts electrical to light, and solar cell converts light into electrical. Okay, so this is the difference. But inherently, their basic structure, if you ask me, in a simple sense, it is PN junction only. So in these three end products, where they are entirely different, right? But their core remains same. So what is the difference? It is the optimization. So depending upon your end objective, you are going to optimize the structure of the cell. You are optimizing every point of the cell what you are making. Okay. So of course, already I have talked about the vertical integration. So these are old statistics. So you can see there are some companies I'm listing just for information. So these are the largest polysilicon producers. Then you can see these are the crystalline silicon cell market shares. So these are the companies on the top which are producing the material, but these are the companies which are producing the solar cells. Okay, and none of them are common. None of them are they are common. Okay, so but these are very important names: Sharp, then this Zinco Solar, Trina. Okay, Ingli. So these are very important producers. Most of them are China based. Most of them are China based. Okay, so the point is that but industry has taken a note of this vertical integration problem, and now you will find out. For example, Trina. I gave the example of this Trina. They are coming up with what 600-watt models. Okay, they are vertically integrating it, at least some part of it. See, they produce about what 8 gigawatt or something. Okay, uh, such a huge production. So slowly they are coming up. Now I think they have planned about 1 gigawatt of vertical integration. So because they have to transform the whole business, right? So their business model is entirely going to change, and you don't do it overnight. It takes a long time for something this to happen. And now you might have heard of that about Reliance. Reliance is buying so many, Netmade. Then they have started JioMart. They have taken Jio. They started all this with Jio and all that. But do you know, Mukesh Ambani actually announced that in 2018 that they are going to change their business model. Okay, so it took 2 years or so, 2.5 years to complete the whole process, and it was step by step, starting with Jio, then with now they have gone with Google, Facebook, and so many investments, and then they changed the model. Okay, so if you would have listened 2 years back, what was Mukesh Ambani's vision, then it is not surprising that what he has done. And already he has told that he will be the retail. At that time, he announced that by 2021, he would make the Kirana stores, these local Kirana stores, digital. So that is what he's aiming for, and that is very different from what Amazon's model is. So business model is really important whenever you are talking of such a businesses. So you should understand that is the core of any business. Okay, so that's all from this particular chapter. It's already 6 o'clock. So anyway, I'll stop here because the chapter is over. And our next chapter, so we have talked about materials. We have talked about how it is manufactured. Now, obviously, next thing would be the electronics. I mean the semiconductor part itself. So we will try to learn about that, and that would help us when we learn about the solar cells and how exactly we are going to optimize based on whatever we are learning. Okay, so knowledge at every stage would be helpful in the next stage, obviously. Okay, so any questions, any comments? Shivam Tripathi. Shivam Tripathi. Shivam Tripathi. Okay, man, fantastic. Yeah, any questions, any comments?
Sir,
yes.
Sir, the sedimentation coefficient is used.
Segregation coefficient.
Segregation coefficient is used to remove the solid, the metallic impurities.
Yes, right. Because every material will have different segregation coefficients. So depending upon that, you can push out, wipe out the impurities.
So then gaseous parts.
Gaseous parts mean now we have already solidified. No? So where are the gases now? Whatever gases they have already reacted. For example, chlorine. Let us say we are passing some HCl gas or something like that. So they have already reacted wherever it is possible, right? So this is during the solidification. Okay, segregation coefficient is during the solidification. I'll try to get some more thing about that segregation coefficient. Okay, actually I was looking for some interesting part like some GIF or something, but I couldn't get it. I'll try to get it. Okay, we'll talk about that segregation coefficient more in when we talk about diffusion. Fine. Okay. So good point. I will add some more slides because that's very interesting phenomenon. Anything else?
So that table having the elements, there was some blank, means there were some dashes and there were some blank spaces.
Yes, so sometimes we are not concerned about. Okay, so certain things if they are kind of neutral impurities. Okay, some might be they are too little so that we don't consider even that their presence insignificant, what we call it as. Okay, and that is the data which I have taken from somewhere. I don't remember the source. So this is a typical data just to tell you a comparative analysis. And that's what I said. When you go to company, this is not a standard, something like IEEE standard or IS standard that this should be the impurity. No, that is what I said. Every company will have different recipe. Okay, something like your masala dosa. Everywhere it is different. Fine. Dosa Plaza charges 90 rupees for that, and your SLR charges 40 rupees, and Rancoil give it in 20 rupees. Now you decide, and literally it happens in solar cell, something like that. Okay, so this is all the recipe. So how you control the whole process and what material you use, right? Yeah. So dosa is a good analogy, in fact. You got the point or not?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Ritika Bansal.
Yes, sir.
Pratik Gadge.
Yes, sir.
कहाँ घूम रहे हो भाई? पीछे से हॉर्न वन का आवाज आ रहा है.
नहीं सर, मेरा नहीं हो.
घर
मेरा नहीं दो.
तो आप घर पे ही हो तो? घर पे ही हो?
Yes, sir.
अच्छा अच्छा अच्छा,
Yes, sir.
ओके। तो कोविड वीविड की वजह से बाहर नहीं ना जा रहे हो?
नहीं sir.
Okay. Anybody from Bhubaneswar or that part? How is the COVID situation? Or anybody from Mumbai or suburbs? How is the situation? Or
Very
anywhere
bad.
where the situation? Who is this and from where?
Sam from Mumbai.
Mumbai, where you are located?
It's a New Bombay, Vashi.
Vashi. Okay. Vashi, the situation is bad.
Very bad, sir.
In the sense, what do you mean by very bad?
So it's like the total number of cases is increasing day by day. Like there are
That is
around 40 to
increasing
50
everywhere.
cases.
That is everywhere. Even in Rourkela, it is increasing. Even on our
But
campus, you know, we already had have one death because of COVID now on campus.
Yes.
So earlier I thought that the campus is safe, but then you know it is spreading everywhere. Only the point is that peak came late in Odisha. Otherwise, till that point it was safe. Ashutosh Sahu.
Present, sir.
Shubham Raj.
Present, sir.
Sahitya Raj.
Yes, sir.
Where are you from?
So I'm in Indore.
Indore.
Yes, sir. Madhya
How is the
Pradesh.
situation there?
I'm living outer, not in exact Indore, but outer to Indore, and it's normal here. Like cases are not rising that.
So
That
nothing,
much.
nothing to fear of, right? Fear about, right?
No, not.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
Yes.
Fine. Okay, so nothing else. So then we'll end this meeting over here. Thank you and good night. Bye.